Hello everyone, this is me, Ilelemwanta Nomaren, and this is another episode of Verse Breakdown. The verse that I'm going to be talking about today is James chapter 4 verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. We can go into resist the devil and he will flee from you. And how do we do that? Well, first, we have to go into avoidance. Think of a fast food place. If you don't want to gain so much weight when you eat fast food, then the easiest way to resist the temptation to go into a fast food restaurant is avoiding passing by fast food restaurants. It may be time-consuming and annoying, but you do it to keep your weight down. It's the same thing with God. We have to avoid the kinds of sins mentioned in Galatians chapter 5 verses 19 to 21 because those can tempt us into sinning against God. And we also must avoid people who do those sins. According to 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 11. However, this won't always work, of course. For example, in Matthew chapter 12 verses 36 and 37, there was this devil who came out of a man, and he started wandering a while until he realized, let me just go back to this guy. And he found out that the man's mind was empty, so he was able to go in and get a lot of his devil friends to come with him. If our minds are empty, if we don't have any of God's thoughts in them to protect us from Satan's influence, then Satan will have the opportunity to come in. Going back to the fast food example, if we are avoiding fast food restaurants, one of our friends can just come and give us a hamburger, and then what are we going to do? Are we just going to avoid our friend now that he works at a fast food place and he's always offering his restaurant's treats? No. What we should do then is find things that we can eat instead, or in God's case, attributes that we can imbibe in ourselves instead. And those are all listed in Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. Love, of course. We have to love God according to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. We have to love our neighbor according to Galatians chapter 5, verse 14. We can also go into stuff like joy. We should be happy. We should be joyful because we have a God that can take care of enemies who want to destroy us in our faith, according to Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. Children need to obey their parents, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. And everyone else needs to follow the hierarchy of obedience, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, because it is that practice for actually going to worship God. And then, once we worship God, we should try to make our values His values, like Jesus Christ did in John chapter 6, verse 38. His will was God's will. That is the way we can worship God. And to make our will God's will, we should throw away the love of the world, according to 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 to 17, because it is the love of the world that gives us different opinions than God's. And a God who is even going to take us to a new earth on this earth, according to Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 to 4. And you might ask, why is Satan going to avoid us when we do that? Well, think of it this way. Satan is a roaring lion, according to 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. So the question is, why is he going to stick around for people that he can't devour? A lion isn't going to chase an antelope forever. No, if he can't get the antelope after a while, he's going to find some other food. Satan tried to tempt Jesus in Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11, but it didn't work. So Satan gave up. He's not going to stick with us forever if we don't want to love the world and love him. I think that is where I can stop on the verse, James chapter 4, verse 7. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, so that other people can hear the knowledge that you have just enjoyed. Thank you for listening.